Hey everybody, welcome back to Heartland Productions. Today we're going to do some dough balls with a garlic herb sauce, and we're going to do it a little different today. We're going to cook them with wood in the Gozney Dome in a cast iron skillet. Stay tuned. Tico's excited to get some stuff cooking in the oven. So I've never made this recipe. The only reason I'm really kind of doing it is that I had gone to Whole Foods the other day and noticed they sold fresh pizza dough. So I bought a bunch and I tried to make some Neapolitan pizza with it, but it's not quite the right hydration. So it just didn't turn out. It was more like bread instead of good Neapolitan dough. So I froze it and I have a bunch left over. So I found this great recipe online for basically making dough balls with garlic herb butter in a cast iron skillet. So we're going to get this started. So the very first step is going to kind of just lightly olive oil the pan. What I like to do too is I like to take a paper towel, use the paper towel to kind of make sure I coat it all well, the sides. Yes, the oil absorbs some in the paper towel, but it helps spread it out nice and evenly. That way you can get it on the sides. There we go. I have that done. Now we're going to divide the dough balls into kind of like ping pong, so a little bigger into ping pong because they're going to rise up a little more. I just took this out of the refrigerator, so it's kind of cold. We're going to just divide it up a little bit. I figure I'm just going to kind of roll it out like this a little bit. Just going to kind of roll these out. Kind of like about this size, and cut them into, not sure how big yet. Maybe like this. I think that'll work. Just about ping pong ball size. Like I said, I think my assumption is that they'll probably double in size once they heat up and start rising. Some of the other things I have one stick of butter. Just I took it out. This is unsalted butter. I cut it up to let it soften up in a bowl while we're doing this. I have a ceramic ramekin. I'm going to go ahead and place that in the center. That's where we're going to put the butter sauce in later. So put that in there. I'm going to go ahead and start cutting these up. Let's start getting these in the skillet. Again, the ramekin goes right in the center. We don't need the cutter anymore. I'm not sure the best way. I'm going to put them in, kind of put them in a circular fashion. I can fill them in later. Don't worry about if they're touching because they're going to expand. They'll probably double in size. Evenly space them out as much as possible. There you go. You can kind of see that. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 in total. It kind of depends, but that gives you the idea. So now we're going to cover these up with a towel, small towel. Because like I said, the dough's cold still, so I'm going to cover them up for about a half hour. Set those aside. While we're doing that, let's get the oven lit. Okay, the oven's heating up nicely. It's about 450 degrees right now. I'm gonna go ahead and slide the coals over using some of my wood oven tools from Built. If you haven't checked them out before, they're out of Canada. This is a great tool to slide the ashes over. Slide that over. If you're not familiar with the dome, it has an air vent when you're using wood, so I always slide the fire from the center to warm up the center, slide it over on top of the air vent on the right side. That helps keep the airflow going to keep oxygen going to the fire. I'm going to set a few of the bigger pieces of wood kind of over here, let them start warming up a little bit. It's just a good practice, helps the wood warm up, so then when I'm ready to throw the big ones on, they're nice and dry and they'll pretty much combust almost instantly. Okay, I have a bigger piece on now. I'm going to let the oven get hot, nice and hot. All right, going to put one more piece on. Actually, I have my fire gloves on too. It's good to use this, and I can grab the firewood. Got to kind of get it on top. All right, I just put one more piece of wood on top. Going to use this again to scrape some of the wood off. It's a great tool to use. You can see you can scrape the ashes all the way across, or you can scoop it this way. Fire's looking great. So while I'm waiting for the oven to heat up, it's about 750 degrees right now. I just put the second big piece of wood in. It's going nice and hot. My butter's softening up quite nicely. So I'm gonna add some spices to it. Just a little bit of, basically just adding some parsley and garlic powder to it. I'm just gonna sprinkle, you don't have to measure too much. Sprinkle some garlic in. And then I'm going to add some parsley flakes. You can use fresh if you have it. I don't. This is basically just to add a little color to make it look nicer. There we go, just a few shakes, maybe a tablespoon, something like that. And we're going to use a spoon, just kind of smush it all up a little bit. Then we're just going to put that, once it comes out of the oven, we'll put that in the ramekin and it'll melt up nicely. The idea is just to kind of incorporate it a little bit. Again, I've had the butter out for a while, so it's soft. I'm not putting any salt in right now because I'm actually going to sprinkle some pecorino romano on top of it, and this is very salty. So if you're not going to put cheese on top, then you may want to use salted butter even. So I started mixing this up. You want kind of the consistency of ice cream. I noticed I did taste a little bit, and it does need a little bit of salt. So I'm going to just do a little sprinkle of sea salt. There we go, perfect. Just stir that up. I say it doesn't have to be melted because you're going to put it in the ramekin when it comes out of the hot oven and it'll melt it. So just stir it up good. Perfect. We'll set this aside. Now let's check the oven again. Okay, the oven's just at about 925 degrees right now. The fire's just kind of stabilizing. This has been 30 minutes resting. Going to uncover these. See how they are? Let's go ahead and put these in the oven. All right, I want these to cook for about 3 or 4 minutes. I'll kind of keep an eye on it. The idea is you want to get the bottom of the rolls, the dough balls to cook first. Once those cook 3 or 4 minutes, I'll pull it out and then finish them off to get the tops nice and brown. Make sure you always wear fire gloves too. This is going to be hot, so you don't want to burn your hand. I also use this other tool by Belt too. It's just a nice hook. You can put it on the end, pull it out like that, and position the cast iron skillet easier too. Gonna take them out just for a second, kind of turn them a little bit, just make sure they get evenly cooked. Again, make sure you have a glove on. Just do that for just 30 seconds or so to kind of brown the other side. It's been about another couple minutes. I'm gonna take these out now. Go ahead and put the butter in. Look how good those look. So if you've seen some of my other videos, especially with the cast iron skillet, first thing you always want to do is cover up the handle with your glove or your towel so you don't burn your hand, because it's very easy to forget that it's 1,000 degrees and you go to grab the handle. So let's get the butter. I have a spatula. We're going to scrape the butter into the ramekin. All right, it's melting nicely. We'll get a brush. Now it's going to be easier. There we go. Liberally brush the tops of these with the butter. Oh, that's good. Nice and garlicky. We'll set that aside now. Now we're going to cover it with some of the pecorino cheese. You want that to melt on top nice. That's going to add some saltiness to it. There we go. We are done. Well, that was a lot of fun. They turned out pretty good, if you can see. I want the butter all to go out. Again, I had just some leftover dough. Wanted to test it out. This is a very simple, easy recipe. You don't have to experiment with the heat. Oven's still going strong. It's still, haven't put wood in there for 10 minutes and it's still almost 1,000 degrees. Let's go ahead and try one of these. I'm going to dip it down into the butter. It's going to be crazy hot. These are absolutely amazing. Try these out at home and let me know how they turn out. Thanks again for watching. Stay tuned for next week. Very simple recipe. Let's go ahead and try one of these. Oh, it's very hot. Wait a few minutes before you eat it.